Hey everyone, welcome to Mrs. Mummey's math class. That's Mrs. Mummey, Mummey. There's an E in my name. I am not Egyptian. I'm a whole different kind of mummy. So just want to welcome you to the class. At this point, you should have already found your seat and your name card, and hopefully you've colored it in to make it look nice and cool. The only thing that I ask is that if you like to be called something other than what's on that name card, go ahead and write it down next to your name nice and big so I can get used to calling you by what you would like to be called. What we're going to do now is we're going to spend the next few minutes going over school rules, class rules, regulations, expectations. Hopefully I'll put your mind at ease of what to expect this year, and I'm going to do my very best to make this a successful year for all of us. One thing you're going to find out this year is that I happen to love math. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm an amazing mathematician. It just means I enjoy doing math. I enjoy figuring things out. It's like puzzles. One thing drives me crazy is when people say, oh, I'm not good at math. Drives me crazy when adults say it too. The thing is very few of us were born with just automatically all of the knowledge that we need to know about math, and that math is super, super easy. For most of us, we have to practice at it. But anything that's worth having is worth practicing for. Think about sports. If you join a baseball team or a soccer team or a football team or a volleyball team, or you're a dancer, don't you have to practice to get good? Of course you do. Now, are you afraid to go to practice? No, you're not afraid to practice. So why are you afraid to practice math? Why do your palms get sweaty when you walk into math class and the teacher asks you a math question? Because you don't know the answer? Well, you're not supposed to know the answer when you come in. That's my job, to teach you how to do math and to coach you. So together, we're going to learn how to not be afraid of math. We're going to learn how to problem solve and tackle problems, and I wholeheartedly expect you to ask questions. If you walk in here already knowing everything that I'm teaching you, then there's really no purpose of you being in class. You come to 7th grade math class to learn 7th grade math. It's my job to teach you. So again, I want questions, I expect questions, and together we're going to have a successful year. So the next thing I want to do is show you a little video. It's kind of a little funny video of how people can get confused about math and how important it is to make sure that you know the proper steps. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I do.
About the percentage. I figure 75% to you, Panma, and 25% divided between the 5 of us. Yida, Crowbar, myself, Tom, and the baby. That makes 5% for each one of us.
Billy, you're cheating yourself. If there's 25% divided among the 5 of you, that's 14% apiece.
Oh, no, listen, Pa. I wouldn't cheat you. You know I wouldn't. Now, look here. I'll show you. Let me rub this out here. And now, 25 divided by 5 is 5. You see, 5 won't go into 2, will it? No. But 5 goes into 25 5 times, you see?
No, you're wrong, Billy. Now, I'm a pretty good mathematician. Now, 5 into 25, 5 won't go into 2, will it?
No.
But 5 goes into 5 once. Now, we didn't use the 2 before, so we bring it down here. Now, 5 into 20 goes 4 times. There you are. 5 into 25, 14.
No, look, Pa. Let me prove it to you now by multiplication. 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25.
Really, I'm surprised you're learning.
Huh?
I'm surprised that you're learning. Now I'll show you. 5 times 14 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5. 25. That's it.
No, look, Ma. Look, you're wrong there because I'll prove it to you. We'll put down 5 14s here. 14, 14, 14. There. Now I'll prove to you by addition that 5 14s is not 25. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25. There you are. Better brush up, Billy. I don't want to see you boys cheated.
Okay, so yeah, things can get pretty interesting if you don't know the proper steps for how to solve a math problem. All right, let's get into the school rules and regulations. First thing I want to go over with you is schedules. Sometimes looking at the schedule can get a little bit confusing, so if you're confused at all about where your next class is or about where the room is, be sure just to stop one of the 7th and 8th grade teachers. We're happy to help. And the lockers. I'm sure by now you have already had experience with the dreaded lockers. Everybody gets nervous and upset and worried about the lockers, but trust me, guys, every Zane Trey student before you who has come through has lived through the lockers, and you will too. It takes some practice, and after a few days or maybe even a couple weeks, you'll have it down and it won't be any big deal. So don't stress about it. We're here to help you, and we'll get you through it, I promise. Okay, we're going to talk about the student handbook. If you want to read the complete student handbook, you can go to the Zane Trace website, which is zanetrace.org, and you can read, print, download, whatever you would like to do with it to see all the details of the handbook. But I'm going to hit most of the highlights with you today of the things that's most important. And the first thing that I wanted to mention is that school hours are from 7:45 to 2:06 for middle school, so you should be here at 7:45, and we will dismiss at 2:06. Yes, being somewhere on time is very important. Not only do you get the most benefit out of everything, but it shows respect for those that you're going to see. So not only do I expect you to be at school on time, I expect you to come to class on time with all your materials with you. If you do happen to get to school after 7:45, you need to stop in the office and get a tardy slip before you go to your first period class. Yes, coming to school is required. It's the law. It is not optional. You do need to come to school every day that you can possibly be here. It's so much easier to come than to try to play catch up when you're just not feeling like getting out of bed. So make sure that you come to school every possible chance that you get, and it's going to work out a whole lot easier for you. If you do happen to miss school, make sure again that you go to the office before you come up to your first period, because you need to get a blue slip before reporting to first period class. Dress code. Please, ladies and gentlemen, come to school dressed for school. You're not on your way to the beach. You're not on the way to a big fancy party. Come to school ready for school. You've been told what the dress code is for years. If you want to know all of the details, go to the student handbook online at www.zanetrace.org and look it up in the student handbook. But the basic rule is make sure that things are covered, and make sure that you are dressing appropriately for school. Bus behavior and bullying policies. We have no tolerance for bullying or being unkind in any way. Boy, wouldn't the whole world be better off if we could all be kind. But at school, if you just simply follow the rules, you know, the good old golden rule of treat others the way you would want to be treated, things will go nice and smoothly. If you do happen to find yourself in a situation where you're being treated unkindly or being bullied, please let one of the teachers know, or let somebody in the office or one of the adults know what's going on, and we're going to do our very best we can to help you. We expect that everybody here is treated with respect, so please make sure that you do that without having to be told. Also, bus rules, you know, the basic bus rules. But again, everything's spelled out in the handbook if you want to go through all of those details. But it boils down, bottom line is just be kind to one another. School forms and fees. The office gave you some forms actually at the end of last year, and most of you probably have already turned those in when you got your schedule, but if you haven't turned those in, make sure to get them to the office as soon as possible. It's very important that we have your emergency contact information in the event that there is an emergency, so make sure you get those turned in. School fees for 7th grade are $47, so again, as soon as you can, get that turned into the office. I'm going to be handing out some forms for just my class today, and those will be, you will turn those in directly to me, but I'll talk about that here in a few minutes. After school, as I told you earlier, school gets out at 2:06, and at the point that the bell rings at 2:06, you're either supposed to be getting on a bus to go home, or you're supposed to be picked up by your parents. The thing you need to understand is you cannot just stay after school because you want to stay after school. or let's say that you're staying after for practice because practice doesn't start till 4. If that's the case, then you have to be under the supervision of a faculty advisor. You can't just stay and roam the halls. So you have to get prior approval from the coach, the teacher, or whoever you're staying with. If you're found wandering the halls, you're going to be sent to the office and probably be sent home. You know, have to deal with them in the office. So make sure that you understand, if you're going to stay after 2:06, you have to be under the supervision of an adult. You know, this is not just to be mean, guys. We're responsible for you and your safety. And if we don't know you're in the building and something were to happen, we wouldn't even know to come look for you. So it's important that you follow those rules and make sure that you're supervised at all times. Okay, this one I can't stress enough. Cell phones, there are to be no cell phones in my classroom. The student handbook says cell phones are to be turned off and in your lockers. I don't care what another teacher may allow you to do. In this classroom, you may not bring a cell phone in my classroom. I don't want to hear, well, it's not turned on, it's in my pocket. If you bring it in my room, I will take it and it will go to the office. If there's an emergency, your parents will call the office. There's nothing that you need that cell phone for. As you're going to see later, I have tons of technology in this classroom. I have tablets that I've bought. I have Chromebooks that I have bought. I have all the technology that we could possibly need that we need for math class. So cell phones, do not bring them in my room, period. Okay, what are my expectations for math class? Well, here's the deal. Not doing your work is not an option. In my class, I'm probably one of the most stubborn teachers you're ever going to have. I'll keep you after if I have to. We'll do whatever we take to make sure that you do the work, because as we stated earlier, in order to be good at something, you've got to practice it. So I will expect you to do your work. We're going to have time to do work in class, and whatever you don't finish in class will be homework, but you'll get most of it done in class. And I promise you, if you do the work, you will pass my math class. I promise you. And my motto, you probably, if you look around the room, you can see, kind of a Star Wars fan. I like Yoda, and one of my favorite quotes is, try not, do or do not. There is no try. Because I have had many kids over the years that, I'll try, or I tried. See, that's not good enough for me. I don't want you to just try. I want you to do it. Because if you do it, you're going to learn from it. You may get it wrong. And if you get it wrong, sometimes we learn more than if you got it right to start with. So I don't want you just trying, I want you doing it. Then we'll look at the results and what you got, and I can reteach from there. But if you don't do it, I don't know what your mind is thinking, and I don't know how to take you on to that next step. So try not, do or do not, there is no try. The answer to this question is yes. I expect you to show all your work. As I just stated in the last slide, if you don't show your work, if you don't do it, then I don't know where your thought process is in order to help you to go to that next step. So I do expect what I call evidence of every problem that you work. When we do our online, you're going to be showing me evidence of your work, and you will get credit for showing that evidence. So yes, I expect you to show your work on every single problem. Okay, I do have a class website. It's www.mrsmummey.com. Again, there's no dots, no spaces, and don't forget the E in my name. If you go to mrsmummey.com, you will find links to all the programs that we use. You will find resources. You will find pictures. I love taking pictures. I like going, not only taking pictures in math class, but going to sporting events and taking pictures. So you can see those on there. I've taught a lot of different subjects. I started out at Zane Trace teaching kindergarten, and then I taught 4 years in 3rd grade math, and then I taught a year in 6th grade science, and this is my 5th year in 7th grade math. So if you had brothers and sisters in any of those other classes, you can go to the section on my website that says past classes, and you can see pictures of them, because I never take them down. I love going back and looking at old pictures. So not only is it a good place for pictures, but more importantly, it's a place to find the links to all the programs that we will use this year in class. So mrsmummey.com, bookmark it. You're going to be going to it often. Okay, next we're going to talk about the forms that you're going to fill out for my class. The first one is a class syllabus. Looks like this. It's going to be the green sheet. You're going to take that home. You're going to read through it with your parents. You're going to fill it out and bring it back. Or there's actually a page on the third page here in front of the signature page where I've put links and a QR code where you can either scan the QR code or go to the link and fill the form information out online. If you fill that information out online, you're going to get 10 bonus points because that helps me out without, I don't have to then go key all that information into the computer myself. And there's also a yellow form. This form is for a program that I use online called Remind. And if your parents choose to sign up for the Remind account, it's totally optional. But what that does is it allows them to get reminders that I frequently send out. I may send out, don't forget we have a math test coming up, or the field trip, you need to have your money in, whatever the remind message might be that I send out. And as many people want to can sign up for that. So if mom wants to sign up and dad wants to sign up, that's totally cool. And also I would like for you to sign up. If you have your own cell phone and you can text, sign up for that, because actually it's more important for you to get the remind messages than them, because I'm reminding you about assignments or things that are coming up. Get those filled out as soon as possible and bring them back to me. When you get those filled out, that's a 25-point assignment. So that's a quick A in my classroom for getting those filled out. And if you do it online, you get an extra 10 points. But if parents don't want to fill it out online, then they just simply fill out the backside. The backside is a signature page where they can just fill it out and you can bring it back to class, and that's totally cool as well. Okay, grades and assignments. There's really no reason for you not to be on top of everything in my classroom, because I'm very diligent about putting assignments as well as grades on Progress Book very quickly. So I keep up to date on all that. So anytime you've got any question at all, go on to Progress Book. I do expect you to go on to Progress Book, if not every day, at least every other day, to check on that. And also take a look to make sure that I keyed the grade in correctly. It's not often, but every once in a while I make a mistake keying it in. So if you ever see that I've made a mistake, make sure that you let me know and I'll gladly change that. McGraw-Hill is where our online assignments are, and we'll get into more of that later when we actually get into the program, but most of our homework assignments are done online, which I think you're going to like. And if you happen to be absent, remember it's important that you're at school, but if you happen to be absent, then what I do, I expect you to go online and to check for what we did that day. Do not show up the next day and look at me and say, did we do anything yesterday? Because you're probably going to get a strange look, or you may even get my dreaded "Are you serious?" button. Because yes, ladies and gentlemen, I know some of us think that the world revolves around us, but we're not going to sit here and wait for your return. We're going to move on in math class. So it's important that you go online and check to see what we did. And the thing that's important and great about our math book is that if you're absent, you can go to the online textbook, and there are video tutors where you can actually play little videos that will go over examples like I went over with the class with the students in class that were here. So you can have teachers that are actually teaching you as well to help you get caught up. The other thing is I always put classroom notes on our website, so you can go on there. So it's really important that you check to see what we did the day before you come back, so that way when you get in here, you're not a day or 2 days or 3 days behind. You're ready to learn that lesson, because unfortunately the way math works, each day builds on the day before it. So if you've missed that, it's going to make that day harder to understand. So please do your best. And I know sometimes you're sick and you can't do that, but do your best that if you're absent to go online and check and see what we did, so that you can come back to school prepared and ready to learn what we're doing that day. Okay, classroom supplies. I don't expect you to go out and buy a whole ton of classroom supplies. Most of the things that you need, I'm going to supply to you in class. The first thing that I'm going to give you is your interactive math textbook, and that will get in the next couple days or so. So you'll be bringing your textbook with you to class every day. One thing that you do need to get is your IMJ, as we'll call it. That's an interactive math notebook. That's going to be that 5-subject notebook that I asked you to buy on the supply list. You will be bringing that to school with you and to class with you every single day. That's where you're going to show all your evidence of your work. So you'll always have your textbook, your IMJ with you, and of course a pencil. Please make sure to bring a pencil to class. I don't care if it's mechanical pencil, if it's a regular pencil. I have pencil sharpeners in the room. If it's a mechanical pencil, make sure that you have extra lead. So those are the three things that you really need to bring to class with you. The other thing that's optional is your calculator. And the calculator that I ask you to buy for supplies, you need it for homework, but you don't have to bring it to class with you every day. Some students like to bring it with them to every day because they get used to how their own calculator feels. But if you don't, I have a classroom set of calculators that we can use for class. And once the bell rings, you're expected to be in class in your seat. You're not going to be running to your lockers because you forgot something. So I'm not asking you to bring a lot. Just make sure that you have those three things: your book, your IMJ, and a pencil. Homework assignments, as I stated earlier, most of our homework is done online on the online textbook, and I think you're going to like the way this works. You actually will go to the assignment, you'll open it up, and you'll look at question 1, and in your IMJ, you're going to write 1, and then you're going to work the problem out showing evidence in your IMJ, and when you get the answer, you put it in the computer, and at that point, most of the problems have a check feature where you can click check. And if you got the correct answer, it'll say correct. And if you got the incorrect answer, it's going to give you a hint of what you might have done wrong. So for example, let's say you were doing fractions. It may say, did you remember to multiply by the reciprocal, or did you remember to simplify, or something that might help you to figure out what you might have done wrong. You can rework the problem then and correct your answer. And then when you finish the assignment, you'll tell it you're finished, and it will check it, and it will actually give you your grade, and you'll record that in your IMJ. Now, if you like your grade, then you're finished with that homework assignment and you're ready to go on to something else. But if you're not happy with that assignment and the due date isn't passed yet, you can retake it up to 3 times in order to get a better grade. And I do take grades on all homework assignments. So if you retake it, the other good thing of showing the evidence is some of the problems are repeated when you retake it. So if it's one that you already got right, you won't have to rework that problem. So you always want to show your evidence on your homework. And we'll go back over all of that when we actually get to log on to the textbook, and I'll show you how that all works, but wanted to give you an idea how that works. Restroom breaks, as far as my class goes, you're supposed to go to the restroom in between classes. Emergencies do happen, but they don't happen every day. So, you know, if there is an emergency, by all means, let me know. You know, we can do that, but I don't expect you running to the restroom every day. I usually teach bell to bell, and we're doing homework and we're doing assignments. So the class time is for math, and I don't expect to be running the hall. So make sure that you go in between classes or during your lunch break. Alex is a new program that we're using this year for supplemental. So I know some of you are going to be really sad to hear me utter the words, we're not doing Moby Max this year. But we are doing Alex. It's a new program we're piloting this year. It kind of goes along with our textbook. It's actually, this program is an adaptive program, so it's based on what you know and what you're ready to learn. It's actually being used at many of the colleges now in some of the introductory math classes. My husband teaches at OUC, and they're using it up at OUC in one of the math classes. So I think it's going to be a really good program, but it's new to all of us, so we're going to be learning some of the ins and outs as we go along. The way this will work is you'll have an Alex assignment each week. You'll be expected to complete 10 topics, and it'll be a 20-point assignment. So each topic will be worth 2 points, which means if you do all 10, you'll get a 20 out of 20. If you do 9, you're going to get an 18 out of 20. So again, we'll get into that more once we actually log in, but I hope it's a successful program for all of us. So again, the main programs that we use online are Progress Book, which if you have forgotten your Progress Book login or you've never been able to get it set up, we will get that set up this week for you so that you're able to get on there and check your assignments and your grades. Alex, we will be getting the passwords and everything set up for you to take your first knowledge check. And the knowledge check is very important that you do your very best on it so that it's putting you at a place that you need to be. If it doesn't, you're going to find out you're going to end up doing a ton more work. So you don't want to create more work for yourself. You're going to want to do the best you can on that. And the online textbook, again, we're going to set those all up in the next few days. And you'll actually have a password label that'll be in your IMJ that'll have all those passwords for you. So those are the programs that we're going to be using. Okay, now let's talk about your assignments. And I know what you're thinking right now. Oh, she's one of those teachers giving us homework on the first day of school. Well, actually, not really. It's not that bad. If you look at Progress Book right now, you're going to see that you have 4 assignments, and each assignment is worth 25 points. But here's what the assignments are. Assignment number 1 is get your 5-subject notebook. Get your IMJ, because in the next few days, we're going to set that IMJ up with your table of contents, and we're going to be working in it. So you need to make sure that you have that here. So most of you probably already have it. If you don't, make sure you go get a 5-subject notebook. And on a side note, I do recommend getting the ones with the plastic cover because they're going to last a lot longer for you. But get that 5-subject notebook and you'll have 25 out of 25 on that assignment. Number 2, bring back your syllabus and your remind forms, or if you want to fill them out online, you get an extra 10-point bonus. So once you get those turned in, that takes care of that assignment. Number 3 is the password label, which we're going to be doing in a couple of days. Once I give you your passwords, you're going to write them down in that label that'll be on the inside of your IMJ, and you'll show that to me. And as long as everything's filled out and it's legible, it's important that you're able to read that password, then you'll get the 25 points for that assignment. And then finally, once we have all our passwords, you're going to show me that you can independently log on to all the programs we used. You'll log on to Google, the 7th grade math site, which is mrsmummey.com, Progress Book, McGraw-Hill, and Alex, and that'll be the last 25-point assignment. So at the end of the week, you should have 100 out of 100 points, and starting 7th grade math off with an A is a pretty good way to start the year, don't you think? So yeah, those are the assignments that are on Progress Book right now. Not a lot of work for you to do with those. Now that I've given you a glimpse into what math looks like in this 7th grade classroom, I hope you're excited. I hope there's no fear, and I look forward to having a great year with all of you.